The music swelled, the soft clinking of champagne glasses filled the hall, and laughter rose like smoke from every corner of the reception. But Emily sat at a round table near the back, alone. She never thought she'd feel invisible at her own sister's wedding. Yet there she was, pushed aside, tucked away, the extra chair nobody wanted. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Her younger sister, Sarah, was the bride. Sarah, with her perfect hair and perfect fiancé and now a perfect wedding day, was the golden child. Emily, 3 years older, still single, still trying to piece her life together after a brutal breakup, had learned long ago how to step aside so Sarah could shine. But tonight, that spotlight was blinding. The wedding planner had announced, "Family sits at the front." But when Emily moved forward, Sarah's new-in-laws politely but firmly nudged her toward the back. "We're saving these for close family," one of them said with a smile that didn't reach their eyes. Close family. Emily swallowed hard, her throat burning. She was the bride's sister. But somehow, she wasn't close enough. She lowered herself into the farthest corner table, a place for afterthoughts. Couples filled the dance floor, parents toasted, friends cheered, and Emily sat with her folded hands, trying to look like she belonged somewhere. Anywhere. That's when he noticed her. Across the room, Daniel adjusted his tie, trying to keep his 7-year-old daughter entertained. Weddings were always awkward for him. People still gave him sympathetic glances when they realized he was a single dad, widowed at 35. His daughter, Lily, was the only reason he got through most days. He spotted Emily then, alone, looking like she was fighting to keep her smile from cracking. There was something about the way she sat, shoulders stiff, eyes darting between the happy crowd and her untouched glass of water. He'd seen that look before. Loneliness had a way of announcing itself to those who knew it well. Without thinking too much, he leaned down to Lily. "See that lady over there?" He nodded discreetly toward Emily. "I think she might need some company. What do you think?" Lily grinned. "She looks nice." Daniel straightened his jacket, picked up his daughter's hand, and walked across the hall. He stopped beside Emily's table, his voice warm but direct. "Hey," he said, leaning down so only she could hear. "You look like you don't want to be here alone. Act like you're with me. Nobody has to know." Emily blinked up at him, startled. For a heartbeat, she thought he was joking. But his eyes, steady, kind, a little tired, told her he wasn't. She laughed nervously. "You don't even know me." "True," he admitted, sliding into the chair beside her. Lily climbed onto the seat on his other side, flashing Emily a gap-toothed smile. "But I know what it feels like to be invisible at an event like this. And trust me, nobody deserves that. So, tonight, we're on the same team." For the first time that evening, Emily exhaled. She didn't even realize how tight her chest had been until then. The three of them began to talk. At first, small things, Emily complimenting Lily's little blue dress, Daniel asking about Emily's connection to the bride. Then, as the music grew louder and the hall filled with laughter, their conversation deepened. Emily admitted she felt overshadowed by her sister, how people always compared them. How tonight had been the final straw. Daniel listened quietly, nodding. "I get it," he said at last. "After my wife passed, I started noticing how quickly people put you into categories. They see you as what you lack, a partner, a family role, something missing. Not who you actually are." Emily met his gaze. There it was, the raw honesty she hadn't expected. A stranger who, somehow, saw her. Lily tugged on Emily's sleeve. "Do you want to dance with us?" she asked. Emily hesitated, glancing at the crowd. Couples swirled, bridesmaids giggled, groomsmen clapped each other on the back. She'd never felt more out of place. But then Daniel stood, extending his hand. "Come on," he said softly. "No one's watching as closely as you think." For the next few minutes, Emily forgot everything else. She danced with Daniel and Lily, their little trio laughing as they spun in the corner of the dance floor. No comparisons, no whispers, no labels, just movement, music, and a kind of freedom she hadn't felt in years. But not everyone was blind to it. Sarah's new mother-in-law leaned toward her son and muttered, "Who is that woman making a spectacle of herself?" Sarah followed her gaze and froze. Her sister. Dancing with a stranger. Something in Sarah's chest twisted, though she couldn't decide if it was embarrassment or guilt. The night unfolded with moments Emily would later replay in her mind. Daniel sharing stories about bedtime chaos with Lily, Lily braiding flowers into Emily's hair, the three of them sneaking extra slices of cake before the servers cleared the plates. Yet beneath the laughter, challenges stirred. When Emily went to refill her water, two bridesmaids cornered her near the bar. "Wow, Em," one said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Didn't know you brought a date." The other giggled. "And a kid." Bold move. Emily's cheeks flamed. "He's not." But before she could explain, Daniel appeared beside her, calm but firm. "Actually, I asked her to sit with me. She was kind enough to put up with us tonight." His voice was steady, protective. The bridesmaids flushed, muttered excuses, and walked away. Emily blinked at him. "You didn't have to do that." "Yes, I did," he said simply. Sometimes people need reminding that kindness isn't optional. Later, when the reception began to thin out, Emily slipped outside for air. The night was cool, the stars sharp against the dark sky. She wrapped her arms around herself, unsure if she wanted to cry or smile. Daniel followed a few minutes later, Lily already asleep in his arms. "You okay?" he asked quietly. Emily nodded, though her throat tightened. "I was invisible at my own sister's wedding. But then you showed up. And now I don't feel invisible anymore. I don't know how to thank you for that." Daniel shifted Lily against his shoulder and gave a small smile. "You don't have to thank me. Just promise me something." "What?" "Promise you'll stop believing you don't belong. Because from where I'm standing, you fit just fine." Inside, Sarah had been watching through the window. For the first time that night, guilt outweighed pride. She realized she had pushed her sister aside in her pursuit of a perfect image. And maybe, just maybe, she had been wrong. She joined Emily outside, her wedding dress glowing under the string lights. "Em," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I'm sorry. I should have made space for you tonight. You're my sister. You always will be." Emily's eyes stung, but she nodded. "I just wanted to matter," she said. "You do," Sarah whispered. "More than you know." As the wedding came to a close, Daniel offered to walk Emily to her car. Lily stirred in his arms, murmuring something about cake. Emily laughed softly. "She's adorable. She's my world," Daniel said, his tone full of quiet pride. Then, after a pause, he added, "You were good with her. She doesn't open up to people that quickly." Emily hesitated, then smiled. Maybe she knew I needed her as much as she needed me. They stood there for a moment, the hum of the night wrapping around them. No promises, no rushed endings, just the beginning of something neither of them had expected. The inspiring message: sometimes, life pushes us to the corner table, making us feel invisible and unworthy. But often, the right people arrive when we least expect it, people who remind us we matter, who see us not for what we lack but for who we are. Emily walked into her sister's wedding feeling unwanted, but she walked out with something far greater than she could have imagined. A new sense of belonging, a bond with a man and his daughter who showed her that invisibility is never permanent. Because sometimes, the most beautiful chapters of our story begin in the unlikeliest places, like the corner of a crowded wedding hall, when a single dad says, "Act like you're with me."